everyone. We'd like to welcome you to our training and development session. This is the third year that we have done a maintenance training session at NARO. And this year, our focus was maintaining focus and energy. So first off, we'd like to introduce ourselves. And my name is Alicia Cuppins, and I am program analyst for our maintenance division at Seattle Housing Authority. And I've been with the Housing Authority for about 10 years. And I've been in many different capacities, but I definitely like being involved in the maintenance administration, and I'm a nerd. I like to pull reports and whatnot, and data. So I will pass it off to Ross, and he'll tell you a little bit about himself.
Hi, I'm Ross Blowers. I'm a maintenance manager for Seattle Housing Authority. I've been here for about 4 years. This is my first year at NARO. And I've been working in housing for over 12 years, mostly training people how to maintain buildings and rehabbing and construction on just various different properties. I'll let Pat go.
Great. Hey, welcome everyone. Appreciate you showing up for our session. My name is Pat Anardi. I spent like about 27 years at Seattle Housing Authority. Started there as an electrician to a supervisor and a manager, and ended my career there 2 years ago as the administrator. Great company, great place, love the atmosphere. So after I left there, I started a company called Blue Collar Value Consulting because I still had a passion for helping maintenance and developing their departments. So I've spent also about 7 years doing training and supporting the PNRC and maintenance training. And then the last 4 years became more passion for it. So I really started planning these maintenance tracks and developing maintenance tracks and soliciting and bringing much more people in. And I'm trying to build this up and building a platform for the maintenance group. So it's been going really well. So you guys showing up and gals, really appreciate it. Obviously, today we're focusing on maintenance, and we want to challenge you a little bit. Is that how you can be a champion for your team? So, okay, here you go, Alicia.
All right, so we're going to tell you a little information about the training center, how we built our training center at Seattle Housing, how a couple other other housing authorities have set up training, and then we'll kind of move on to what next. So first of all, we'd like everybody to take a poll. So the first question we want to ask everybody is, has your staff requested training? So go ahead and put yes or no. Let's give you a couple minutes. And it's really important, if your staff is asking for training, that, they're really want to invest in themselves. They want to have the agency, be better, wants it to win awards. And so we're just really curious on, have you adopted your training program at your agency? And have you developed in-house training or utilized training centers? So it looks like about 80% say that your staff has requested training. And it's constantly changing, but it's looking like about 63% has adopted training programs. And we have about half and half of developed in-house training and then utilizing training centers. So I'm gonna turn it off here in a couple seconds, about 5 more seconds to enter. All right, so final is 90% of your staff has asked for training. So that's pretty neat. And it's really cool to see that a lot of people have actually listened to their staff. Pat, you want to add anything on that?
Yeah, I think that number is fantastic. I really like the number at 60% of that you've adopted a training program for your agency. So these are good numbers and good support. So it's good stuff.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I'm going to keep it going with Pat, and he's going to kind of tell us why Seattle Housing set up a training center.
So Right. So this part here, the 60% that you adopt a training really is fantastic because, well, as I get to the why, remember that I was a maintenance manager at the Housing Authority for a number of years, and we didn't adopt a training program for quite a while. So that's a good thing. It just took us a little slow start, but we took off after that. So the why part is we used to keep track of staff and when we thought they would be exiting the agency. And we were looking at a 5-year trend that 50% of our staff were going to be turning over. So we knew that we needed to come up with some type of program to be able to train the new ones. So from them 60% or 50% of the turnover is obviously a loss of knowledge from all levels, from our staff, from our supervisors, including myself. I was looking at a 3-year plan for myself to leave. So we really needed to put together a succession plan for all these new staff. So with that 50% leaving, obviously we had new staff coming in to do some training. And then we also negotiated a new contract that put us in a position of changing job descriptions. So not only the 50% of the new staff coming in, we had all the existing staff that we were adding duties and moving them around in the job description that we actually had to do the training for them. So that's the hard side. Now on the soft side is really why. Well, everyone knows that when you have a well-trained staff that you're going to increase the confidence of that individual. And once you do that, you create a positive culture, your customer service is higher, and there's a much more things. But all these things equal to a higher level of productivity, which probably is our main goal at the end of it. But don't forget the soft skills behind this. So the training would be physical training is all the hard skills. So I'll turn that over to Alicia.
So one of the first things we had to do is we had to create a mission statement. So our mission statement that we developed was committed to recruiting, retaining, and developing people whose skills and dedication allow them to constantly perform at the top of their field. With that 50% leaving, we needed to retrain the people that we had, as well as train these new people and recruit people with good skills. So, this mission statement has helped us as times have changed and how we've had to just keep that focus of what we want. So I really recommend making that mission statement that you can pass along throughout the program. Ross is going to tell us a little bit about our development.
So we had to spend some time at local colleges and trade schools looking for talent to replace everybody. But we realized that we already had it at the agency. We just needed to tap into it. We realized that we needed to tailor our training based on our job descriptions as well, because maintenance mechanic is going to have a different job description than a vacate tech. So there's that difference in there. But we had to get staff involved, and that was actually easier than expected because most people, they're willing to share their knowledge with their coworkers, and it also kind of gives them a pride of showing off their skills. One of the things we also did was we had surveys at staff picnics and functions, and that was just to get ideas of what was needed and what we wanted for our staff. And letting them come up with ideas in the training center and the curriculum, it gave them ownership of the program, and it almost lets them run it themselves. So I'll let Pat do the next part.
Okay, I'm looking at 92% now of staff requested training. Yeah, warms the cockles of my heart. That's cool. So our training center, like most things, started off small. We had about a 15 by 15 room that we put some plumbing and electrical in there just to try to get this thing up and going. And it was actually had overwhelming support. We had a commissioners meeting at this maintenance facility. It was a good meeting area, and they wanted to actually come over and look at our center, and they were overwhelmed. So now we got the commissioners on board, we got our directors on board, we got everybody on board about this center. So then it took off in a much faster pace, and we developed a full training center, as you'll see later in some of the pictures that we have. So to kind of roll forward a little bit, we took that center with all of our excitement and all of our energy. We into NARO's on award, their award process. You know, you put these entries in. We did one for customer service, and this training center went through the whole process and ended up receiving a national award of excellence on it. And it really, my opinion, it's really based on the softer skilled side of that, and that's because all staff were engaged and they wanted it and they supported it. They built it. They developed the training manuals. They were the ones in the lead of this. And that's the real success behind the training center, is that we got everyone engaged. So that's a positive thing. So we really appreciate that. Now back to you, Ross.
All right. So getting staff to buy in is a really important step. Nobody wants somebody forcing information onto them. And when they realize, though, how the training can benefit them, they always seem to want more. And so using that, just trying to get the thing built, we asked staff and supervisors what was wanted and needed. So after we found that out, we used our own staff to build the training center. And we actually, during the build process, we got feedback from them on what other kind of things we could use and do to help. Staff training staff, that actually is a huge thing, because it allows the staff opportunities to become leaders in the agency, and it allows them to have other staff members approach them during the rest of the week or whenever, lets them ask questions and gets feedback from them on any tasks that they're trying to work on. It's very helpful, very helpful. So Alicia, you want to talk about who was trained?
So the first, we have so many employees at Seattle Housing Authority. And of course, when everybody started hearing about our training center, everybody wanted training. But we had to focus first on, what made the most sense. So since our maintenance mechanic job description changed, we thought we should start there. We should develop their skills. And then the vacate techs. So we have Hope 6 properties where we have vacate techs. And we thought it was very important to include them in the training, so that when maintenance mechanic positions came available, such as that 50% we needed to fill in the next few years, that they would have those skills to be able to get those positions, and we weren't always having to go outside. And so they were super excited about that, and we got a number of vacate techs from the Hope 6 properties that are currently maintenance mechanics now. So Ross is going to kind of take us through our training center a little bit here.
Okay. So when we started, as Pat said, we had a 15 by 15 room with some training walls. After we realized we had a big open space at another facility, we created what you see now in the pictures. We have an entire kitchen set up in the little room with a window in the back there. There's a functioning closet door, an exterior door that we use to train with. We have multiple styles of different doorknobs in our agency. So we set up a bank of doors that have all the different knobs on them and different ways of replacing those we train on. We have a drywall station with different setups. There's about 4 or 5 different stations that they can train in a group without a pandemic going on. We have towel bars, blinds, different little small tasks all set up along that wall. We also have portable walls that we take to staff functions that have plumbing and electrical in them. And that helps with the office staff that normally doesn't do any maintenance. And it lets them get an idea of what's behind their sheetrock. Ends up being pretty interesting for them. But we also use those as like little competitions for fun at those functions. So it really, it helps the morale with those as well. And then Pat's going to talk about the other, some other housing authority training centers.
Great, thanks, Ross. So I was asked by Billings, Housing Authority of Billings, Montana, to come over and do some work for them. I did some work for them last year, and they asked me to come back to help build them a training center and design one based upon that NORO Award of Excellence. They seen it. It was exposed there, and a lot of people were very interested in it. So just seen some draft drawings that I put together on it for them. But I really wanted to talk more about their vision of it. This housing authority isn't a large housing authority. It's considered a small housing authority. It has probably about 8 to 9 staff and somewhere around 500 units that they provide services to. But their vision is to be able to create a training center and use it throughout the community and invite others in and help other nonprofits and for-profits to be able to utilize this center to help develop the skill for their staff and as they have turnover of their staff. So really felt that was a real unique thing about sharing. So I have a vision that we're going to build enough training centers throughout the United States that we would be able to everyone utilize their centers in their areas. That would be a dream. So a few years ago, we did one of these, and it was in Portland, and it was picked up there in Portland and from some individuals and brought to an individual consultant down there that I happen to know. And they called me up, and I went down there and chatted with him and worked some stuff out. And he developed his own training center down there. So there's one in Portland, there's one in Seattle, and the next one you're going to see here is Everett. And Everett put one together, and soon to be one in Billings. So Everett Housing Authority, we're a real partnership with them. We're real close with them. Obviously, they're only up the road another 30 miles or 40 miles or so. And they've come down and taken a look at our center and talked with the people who built it and the staff that are involved. They really wanted to gear up and get their own center going because they felt it would be a real positive environment around their staff. And you see some pictures of theirs there. I went up and took a look at it. It's great. Their idea and their thought process together. And they've got a new manager up there, and this individual is going to start put together the vision and all their manuals for that, and really pick up on the training of their staff. So it's really excited. So one of the other points of talking about Billings is that when we at Seattle make some of these presentations, they talk about, well, you're a large housing authority, you can kind of afford to be able to do that. Well, Billings took a different avenue and decided that they can do it also. So take a look at what you got going on in your housing authority and see how it may fit or not based upon that. It doesn't have to be a large housing authority to make some of these things work. Okay, so again, this is, I don't have a ton of information on this, but this is when it comes to cost and front-end labor. So every time one of these come up, first thing that comes out of leadership is what it costs. What does it cost to develop these centers? And then, you know, obviously the benefits from that. And I'll try to talk a little bit on the cost of that. So it's going to be related to some options that you have in there. And one of them is in Seattle's arena, they designed it and they use their own in-staff to build the whole thing out. Not all agencies can do that. So you may have to look out elsewhere for a plan or a design, and then either possibly have it built out. I know Everett did their own, except for they did some contracting out for their main electrical panel in there. But I have some of them costs that I can share with you if you can reach out to me after the conference. There's some contact information, or Ross or Alicia know how to get a hold of me rapidly. And I have some of the costs of building and development of it. I will be probably invited back to Billings and may physically build out their center for them this winter. So I'll have that for you. And a lot of this is going to depend on what your vision is. What is your vision of your agency? How big your center is going to be and what you're going to be utilizing that for, just for your staff or outside. So I kind of challenge you to start thinking about what your vision may be to support that staff that 99% of them have asked for training within the agency. So I think that's it. Back to you, Alicia.
So one question you have to ask is, what happens if you don't invest in training? The benefits fully outweigh the cost of any training center. You're going to have more staff efficiency. In Seattle, once we started the SMART program, we shaved about 15 minutes off each of our work orders. And in Seattle, that year we had about 32,000 work orders. This year, I wouldn't be surprised if we hit about 39 to 40,000 work orders. So when you cut 15 minutes off each of those work orders, you save a lot of time, because we're not getting extra money to hire a lot more people for those extra work orders. So, how do we get them done with the same staff members? And then having staff energy is another huge benefit. When your staff are energetic to help train each other, when you bring on new staff, when your staff is energetic to learn more, when your staff is energetic to help build out training centers and create materials for each other, it just gives so much energy. And so, those, like I said, the benefits completely outweigh all the costs. So at Seattle, we created the SMART training program. In Everett, they created their training center. King County Housing Authority are utilizing colleges, and I'm sure there's many more housing authorities, looking at the 99%, that have started looking into or utilizing training. But designing these programs are only the first step. So what happens after you build it, everyone's excited, you win awards? You have to keep up that focus and energy. You have to keep looking into the future, because if you don't, you're just going to be at a standstill. And we got into that a little bit. We kind of lost momentum. Pat retired. We had staff changes. We had more people retiring. We had budget changes. We had a pandemic. So what happens if that agency loses drive? What's next? What happens when you have these obstacles? So, it's time to evaluate. You look at that turnover, you look at your management, you look to see who is there to lead. And then you also, you want to keep your staff involved too, because, I still have that passion to keep it going. Ross has that passion to keep his staff trained being a manager. And, we have to look at our processes and look at everything, and then just evaluate. And like I said, just keep moving forward. This pandemic has been really hard for us as well with the training program. We now had to be 6 feet apart. We had to not, be together training, so we wanted to keep it going. So we're going to talk a little bit about like the changes we've made and still keeping that energy moving forward. And I'm going to pass it to Ross to kind of tell a little bit about how we were doing it and then how we're doing it now.
Thank you. So the old ways of training for us, which were new and exciting at the time the center was created, we'd have small groups of training, and they'd be training hands-on, shoulder to shoulder, one classroom in one area. And also we use it for hiring. The center, we used like a speed dating technique to where we'd bring in a lobby full of people and have them go through a quick question and aptitude test to find out if they were a good fit for us. Everybody was learning. They were all testing together. It was a big, fun group. But the new ways now, we have to utilize technology. We started creating videos and training on smartphones in the field. With our staff was creating videos for each other in lieu of the one-on-one training. And they'd access documents and manuals now that are available with smartphones in the field on our SharePoint app. So we just use technology-based training libraries for almost everything now. And the pandemic, it also allowed for cross-training opportunities for staff. We have landscapers that are taught to sanitize inside the buildings, and they're learning skills of industrial cleaners. They're able to gain that knowledge for future job opportunities. And with the unknowns of supervisors possibly being out sick, we opened up some opportunities for members of staff to be backup supervisors. We've already had some fill in this last few weeks. We had supervisors out of the office, and the backups did an outstanding job. They really nailed it. So that was pretty great. We also have an example of a training video that a technician could access in the field if they haven't repaired a lock in a while. So
I'm going to attempt to try and share this. Hopefully it's not choppy. Bear with me with this technology just for a second.
Name's Andy Porter. I'm with Seattle Housing Authority. I'm going to show you how to take apart this lock and put it back together in case there's a problem inside.
Is it working?
Yes.
Thing.
Okay.
Get in here, pop that off. Handle.
It was working.
Well, technology.
they work well on the iPhones.
Yeah.
I guess.
Maybe you can hear it.
Continue.
Once you have it off, you can look inside. See if there's any
You can kind of get the
damage in
picture
lock.
of, you know, what it is. Somebody can access this on their phones out in the field if they're, you know, changing a lock and they haven't done it in a while. And, you know, during the pandemic, this has been helpful because normally you could go back to the shop and, you know, see this carpenter and get a little bit of help. And if you can't be within 6 feet of each other, it's a little bit harder. So, you know, this has been really helpful and we've had a lot of good feedback for that. So.
Fully latched in there. Top and the bottom of these. Right.
Ross, want to tell a little bit more about the other ones we have?
Yeah, sure. So, well, a couple of years ago, we had a few members of our staff that went to talk with a maintenance facility located in the UK. They had training videos for all kinds of different topics for staff, but they also had them for residents. So it's just weird to imagine having videos for residents, which is pretty amazing. They would be like how to unclog a toilet or how to tighten a bedroom doorknob. Basically whatever you can think of that you would want your residents to know how to do. But just for like the next changes that are coming up, we have to be on the lookout for those. Any training, anything that can keep that fresh for the staff. We at Seattle Housing, we dropped off a little bit on our training even before the pandemic started. It's something that's easy to do, especially with all the changes that come from the day-to-day business. But we're always looking for new ideas, whether they come from the outside or from an employee. We're always welcoming staff to come up with new ideas that help to create the program, keep them involved, keep them excited, and allow them to have the buy-in necessary that is going to keep the program successful. So I'll slide it on over to Pat for some ideas.
I think this one's yours still.
Okay.
Next
Well,
step. Yeah.
I'll keep
Right.
going.
Ours is
So-
number 18. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of already went through that.
Yeah, I think we did. So the next one would be our last slide, right?
Yes.
Okay, moving forward, right? And I think in the beginning I mentioned about being a champion, and that's what we're really trying to talk about here is helping your staff, and you be the champion to that. So my whole thing, one of my really pushes for is to be the champion of that group that you lead, and have that group be able to look up to you, and you're the one that providing all the energy or helping providing all that energy and focus for them. So and that's where I talk about promoting maintenance within your agency, being that champion. What I mean by that is not necessarily advancing them in positions, which that's critical, but what I'm really talking mostly about is how do you share the good things that they're doing? How you expose what it is that they do day in and day out? Sometimes we talk too much about some of the things that we're not doing, but we should be focusing lots of energy on the things that we're doing and doing well. And we're sharing that throughout the agency. Sometimes maintenance is not connected to the upper management there. And this is a way for us to do that, is to continue to promote what it is that we do every day. And there's a lot of great things that your maintenance staff does. So keep sharing that. The other thing is like creating a learning culture, a safe place for your staff to be trained. Sometimes maintenance staff are not used to having a learning culture. Is sometimes when you talk to maintenance staff about training, the thing that they hear is that, what is it? I'm not doing very well. So it's really creating a good learning culture and a safe place for them to learn, a safe place for their partner to come in and teach them what they are proficient at, and to be able to transfer that knowledge on down. So that's good. The other part I think Ross talked about a little bit is staff teaching others. That is a huge thing when you can build that type of environment around there. So that's some real positive stuff and some energy that I'm hoping that you take away from this, and that you can engage you and your team within that. So from here, now here's a sales pitch. So we've been involved in this for a number of years, and I've been involved in it for like 7 or 8 years and putting together this plan. We've had, this year we have 8 different agencies engaged in putting this maintenance track together. And from that, there's from all different levels and all different departments, because people have moved on, but I've been able to still grab a hold of them and bring them back and get them engaged in it. So we're asking you to keep promoting this maintenance track and getting you engaged. So if you reached out to each one of us or one of us here about next year's and what you think ought to be brought to the PNRC as for training, we would take all that stuff. So there's some good questions and good feedback for you to push back out to us, and keep promoting your maintenance staff. So my couple more things. One, I want to thank Alicia for putting all this together, because she does a fantastic job in the last 3 or 4 years to do that. And me and Ross kind of just say, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, it's a good idea. And we work along. So that's good. I want to thank Ross for putting himself on the line this year to do his first one and doing it virtually, which is much, much harder than standing. I rather stand in front of everyone because I can get some feedback and questions much easier. So thank everybody there. Thank everyone for showing up. And I want to leave you with my closing of is start putting down what your vision is to answer your staff at the 99% of them who ask for more training. And we're always available at any time. And yeah, okay, I got one more. So one biggest thing about NARO is that we have these interconnections with people. And this year we're unable to connect that way. So this is much harder for you to be able to reach out to other agencies and learn by them, or just share your experiences. That is the biggest thing about NARO that I've learned over the number of years. So figure out how to try this new way and gain a different partner across town. So that's it. It's up to you.
We'd like to invite some people to ask questions. Put it in the chat, or we can also have people unmute themselves and ask. I did have one question come up. Someone asked, why was there such a large increase in work orders expected? So we have gradually increased our work orders by about 2,000 every year. At Seattle, we do all of our own preventative maintenance. We have trades, we have plumbers, engineers, electricians, and as we built Yesler, and as we've increased buildings, and as our buildings have been getting older, there's more maintenance requested. And then with React changing as well, we had someone dedicated to helping in React. So a lot of our increase has been focusing more on the outside envelopes of buildings as well. So we're just consistently growing in those number of work orders, and Pat can maybe give a little bit more of his perspective on that too.
It's a fascinating question, right? I don't know too many agencies that have a reduction in work orders over the years. Sometimes there's most of all properties in Seattle are getting older. A lot of agencies have redeveloped their properties. Seattle hasn't really developed much of their what we would call their LIPH properties. And they're just getting much older and creating more, more work for us. And I think the demand is actually higher for a higher level of service too. So, but I think that was the only chat question, right?
Yeah,
so again, when we were here in person, we have a lot more questions, and it's harder to chat online like this. So please reach out. So is that the only place that we would see questions? Is there a chat?
Yeah, we're
Alicia?
Yeah.
oh, we've got another one.
We have Crystal from Renton Housing Authority. How do you approach a staff member who expresses a desire for training but is unwilling to make an effort to train? Ross?
Well, that's kind of just having a sit down conversation with that person, I would think, and kind of look at what their goals are, what kind of training they're looking for, and ask them if they're willing to put in the time and effort to make that a priority in their employment, I guess. Usually, I would say people who are looking for training usually want to put forth the effort, though. I don't know.
We've also at Seattle have made some opportunity positions. So we've, our electricians, I mean, of course you need to have like your journeyman and whatnot, but we've created a master electrician so that someone that's been an electrician for, 15 years, they can still have opportunities within the agency. We've also had many of our maintenance mechanics learn from our carpenters and become carpenters, full-blown carpenters when carpenter positions have come up because they've put in that effort for training and learning, and they were a great carpenter from that, and they got that position, which is increased pay. And so those are some other ways, give them those opportunities.
I also think that it's there's a way. So there's a lot. If there's only like one person or a percentage of the people, you also have a larger percentage of people that are interested in training, and maybe there's some incentive to that. Maybe Alicia mentioned to some of them, once you get a little bit more training on your belt, you'll be able to advance with the agency. So I also think that many people that went through Seattle's training program came back extremely pleased and happy. I had a number of them come to me first and say, man, do I really need to go through that training? And these individuals have been around the industry for a long time. They came back out of that training thanking me for pushing them and encourage them to go to that training. So I also think if there's a way that you can, reward the people, even if it's only within your agency, of thanking them and putting them up in your monthly report about it and building this thing up into some excitement, then it may help encourage others to step in and ride that wave also. So we got one more up there, right? Travis?
Yeah, I can't see it anymore.
There.
There we go.
Let's see.
So Travis asks, how much time should we focus on training compared to time spent performing actual job function? So we kind of started doing training within units as well. So some of our vacate techs down in Yesler, we actually went down to them, to their vacates, and had some of our guys teaching them better ways of taping, better ways of doing other things in the vacate. Maybe Ross can touch on it a little more, but then they were still completing their job, but also getting help and getting trained at the same time.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So Travis, you done, Ross?
Yeah, yep.
So Travis, that's a real good question. I have not really quantified that in all the years, if it's 5% or 2%, but encourage you to kind of reach out to other agencies and generally not even housing authorities and see what they do to be able to come up with that. I've only done it in money-wise, budget-wise, dollars-wise. I haven't really quantified that as in percentage of time. So I don't have a real good answer for you on that.
So we had one more question come up. How has COVID affected maintenance? And I think this is a question for all the housing authorities, and we are having a roundtable tomorrow that can touch on it a bit. But you know, our maintenance has been turned upside down by COVID. Our office staff is at different homes. Our supervisor staff is working alternate schedules at home and in the office. Our techs can't finish all their work orders in the units unless it's an emergency. They're cleaning. Our preventative maintenance has been affected because we're cleaning every day. We're scrubbing the buildings. And, you know, technology has been really helpful during all this. I'm using the maintenance training library. I've created dashboards because I'm working at home. So I need to communicate work order numbers, open work orders, open emergencies. So I'm constantly trying to create these dashboards so that I can give information to everybody, that we're all spread all over the city and over Washington. And the actual day-to-day operations, Ross, since he's the manager, can kind of touch on that part.
Yeah, I would say one of the main things that we've realized is actually morale. It's kind of like a roller coaster where sometimes everybody is paranoid, panicked. They don't want to go into units, or they don't want to go into buildings because they're afraid for their health or their family members. And then, you know, they go up again and they're fine and everything's great and they're almost hugging each other in the parking lots. But I think morale is trying to keep them as steady as you can, because keep those dips, try to level that out, because I think morale is a really big issue going through something like this, and to make sure that they're all okay. But that would be my biggest issue so far. Pat, do you have anything?
Just to spin off of what Alicia says, I think it's good that you attend the maintenance roundtable tomorrow, and then we can, that information will be shared, these questions, to all the other agencies, and we'll see if they're going through the same pain and suffering as Seattle is, but I would imagine.
Anyone else have any
Okay,
questions?
anybody else? Okay, no question. I just pulled up the bottom of the screen to see there's 31 people there, so I'm taking everyone's name and making sure they're all going to sign up for next year to help out with continuing the maintenance track. So that's good. I'm good. I got this technology under control.
Does a nice work, Pat.
Yeah, we'll see how that works.